Hello yogis and bookish friends. Welcome to Novel Yoga, where the yoga flows from the page. Today's book is Song of Achilles. I know it's a bit of a cheat, okay? We're meant to be doing a series on these female characters from mythology, but trust me, there's a good reason behind this, not just that I love this book like I know many of you do. I couldn't do a Greek mythology retellings book without including Song of Achilles in it. And I think it's made such a big impact on people. And if you're part of any of the bookish communities, you probably know by heart that quote, "He is half of my soul," as the poets say. Oh, it's got so many delicious quotes and moments in it. But we are doing female characters from mythology, so how am I going to cheat and squeeze this one into the series today? Patroclus. For me, whether you say Patroclus or Patroclus, apologies if I'm saying it wrong for you, but for me Patroclus really fills that role of the feminine character. He shows so much compassion, not just to Achilles, in whom he sees something that very few people see. He sees the softer side of Achilles, and he uncovers a much gentler side than the rest of the world gets to see. But also the compassion he shows to all the women in the camp when they reach the Battle of Troy. So for me, Patroclus is that feminine power, that lovely, beautiful character that fits our series of yoga flows so well. And today I want you to have a little Patroclus on your shoulder, to take that compassion for yourself and be gentle and kind to yourself. Our theme today is compassion. And there are few men, if any, in the Battle of Troy that demonstrate the compassion shown by Patroclus. So today I invite you to take that compassion for yourself. We're going to take a gentle practice to open our compassion centres, our heart chakras. And in today's flow, I want you to focus on being good to you, to move in a way that feels good to you, and to deepen poses only if it honours your body. Show yourself that compassion today and come and join me on the mat. So we're going to begin with the Matsya Mudra. The Matsya Mudra is to activate the body's self-healing potential, and it also generates feelings of devotion and compassion. And what we're looking for today is that self-compassion from our Song of Achilles flow. So you place your right palm over the back of your left hand, fingers are all collected, and you extend your thumbs to the side. So once you've found the Matsya Mudra, I want you just to take a few moments tuning into your natural breath today. You're not going to follow any particular breath pattern. I want you just to find your compassion for the way your breath is flowing naturally. Just feel the energy from that mudra, that self-compassion. And as you continue to allow your natural breathing pattern to flow and hold the mudra, we'll begin with a quote from Song of Achilles. No man is worth more than the other, wherever he is from. We are not about comparing ourselves to others. We are not about looking at one person's yoga and deciding it's better, or that their forward fold is more advanced than ours. They can stretch deeper, or they can hold a balance longer. We are not about comparison today. We are about compassion. No man is worth more than the other. Allow that self-compassion Allow yourself to be compassionate and kind to yourself. And we'll release the mudra, and I want you to come onto your backs and we'll take a figure 4 position. So gently lower yourself onto your back, left knee bent on the floor, right knee bent, foot over the left knee. So we're in a figure 4 position. Hands can come to the chest or wherever's comfortable. And we're just going to drop that left foot, allowing our hips to turn as our foot comes to the floor, back up, and knee to drop to the other side. So it's a rocking figure 4 motion, a very gentle opening and warm up to start our compassionate flow today. Tune into your breath as you do this. We store a lot of tension, I think I've said this before, in our hips, so this flow is really nice for releasing that tension. Be gentle to yourself, be kind, be compassionate. As you return to centre, right foot on the mat, left foot crosses over the right knee. Make sure your toes are flexed. And again, just drop that foot to the side and knee to the other side. So gentle rocking motion, allowing your figure 4 to fall to each side. Just notice my shoulders were quite raised. I've just released those down away from my ears. We're all about self-compassion today. Move in a way that feels good for your body. As always, tune into your breath. Allow your breath to link to the movement. And return to centre. Use your palm to gently lift yourself up to seated. You're going to begin with legs crossed, and then I want you to lift your right foot up. Thread the fingers of your right hand in between your toes. So you're stretching out your toes here. And we're just going to gently circle our leg in a kind of cradling the baby motion, whilst keeping our fingers interlocked in between our toes. So it's a wonderful foot massage and stretch for your toes, a great start to being self-compassionate. We know how much our feet work to serve us, so we're repaying them now with this gentle massage. I'm using the pads of my fingers to gently press into the underside of my foot at the same time. And of course, as we're doing these circles, we're also releasing the tension in our hips. Let's repeat that on the other side. So right, left across. Lift your left foot, interlace your fingers in between your toes. And again, just allow that rocking motion. Those circular cradles. Press the pads of your fingers into the top of your foot. Give yourself a bit of a massage. And release. So from there, we're going to do a seated twist sequence. Keeping your left knee bent underneath you, I want you to bring your right knee up and fold it over your left knee. Draw your hands together in a prayer position, and we're going to twist and draw our right elbow towards that ankle. So it's a gentle twist and return to neutral. And we'll take 10 of these. Again, allow your breath to link to your movements. And move as far as feels good in your body. Be compassionate, don't force it. I think we're coming to about 10 there. From there, release your hands. We're going to do a flow movement. So you're going to lift your foot, turn it behind you, and come into what's kind of like a swastikasana. Then lift it again and bring it back round. It helps sometimes clasp your palms in front of you in a prayer just to give you that centre of gravity and that force. So I'll go through that again. You lift your right leg up, turn it behind you so that your hip comes in line with your mat, parallel to the front of the mat, and then lift it up and turn back. Let's take 10 of these. Really good. You should feel your core strength in this as well. Your obliques. As well as, of course, that lovely range of motion in your inner hip and outer hip. I think we're about 10. Come back to centre. Left knee comes over the right. And we're going to do that twisting motion. So hands into prayer position. Left elbow, comes down towards your ankle for a twist. And once you've completed 10, we're going to do that movement, that swastikasana, I can't even pronounce it at the moment, flow. So your left foot now is going to draw behind you, lift up and cross over your knee. Draw behind you. And you'll feel you bear the weight on your right hand side. You'll feel it again in your side body here, in your core. Take it nice and slowly, nice and gently. And when you come to 10, just sit back, hands by your sides, and just windscreen wipe your legs, your knees, just to release any tension. It might feel nice to take a little tabletop here, reverse tabletop. And we're going to come into a child's pose. If you've got a strap, I'm going to ask you to use a strap. If not, you can use a scarf or a belt. So knees underneath you, toes to touch, heels to drop out. And you can do knees together or knees wide, however you feel more comfortable in your child's pose today. Hold your straps so your arms are shoulder distance and release into your child's pose. And then from here we're going to warm up the shoulders by lifting the left hand, lowering right hand. Such a small movement, but it is really intense. If you're doing it, I'm sure you'll be able to feel it already. A really good one for strengthening the shoulders whilst releasing the back. And then release the strap. Bring your arms by your sides just to relax into the child's pose. Release your shoulders. And inhale and exhale here. And slowly find your way back up to a seated position. We'll continue now with our main flow, and we'll begin with the quotes. I have given enough to them. I will not give them this. And we give a lot to other people, whether it's to our colleagues at work, our family, perhaps elderly parents we're caring for, our own children, our friends. We can give so much of ourselves away. Today is about giving to ourselves, having that compassion for ourselves, and there is nothing wrong with taking that time for self-care. So once you've finished this yoga flow today, perhaps you go and have a nice relaxing bubble bath, perhaps you go for a walk in the woods. Make that time, give yourself the compassion, you deserve it. Okay, we're going to begin this flow in Sphinx pose. So I want you to make your way gently down onto your stomach. Elbows beneath your shoulders, hands on the mat, and pull your chest through, lift your head. Take a few breaths here. Inhale and exhale. Make sure your ears are away from your shoulders so you're not slouching. Come onto your knees, and we're going to go into a tabletop position, but with elbows on the mat. So elbows on the shoulders, hips above your knees. We're going to take some spinal undulations here. So a bit like cat and cow, we're going to curl the spine. We're going to drop into our shoulders, draw our shoulder blades together. Arch your back. Drop your spine in between your elbows. So really moving in a way to just release that spine. Finding movement in a way that feels good to you. Pushing your shoulder blades away from each other. Dropping your tummy. You might prefer to have your hands in fists, right on the mat like that as well. Sometimes that position gives you a bit more range of motion. Really, I want you just to explore the length of your spine, finding movement and motion in a way that feels good for you. From there, palms to the mat, come up onto your hands, tuck your toes, and lift into a downward dog. Pedal out here for a few steps as you find your way into your downward dog. Lift your right leg, bring it through between your hands, and then turn and come into a side squat. Move your hands across the mat, and we're just going to switch sides. And again, I think I tend to call this one Spider-Man pose. You feel like you've got your web slingers out here. To the other side. And then into centre. Release your head down. And then gently rise, hands on your hips. We'll come into a goddess pose. So, knees and toes to point in the same direction. Drop your hips down, arms into cactus and come into your goddess pose. So this is a real heart opener. It's perfect for finding that acceptance. Inhale here and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Turn to the front of your mat, come into a low lunge. And from there, bring your left foot to meet your right, forward fold. Roll to mountain. And we're going to take a dancer pose. So pushing your right foot into the mat, draw your left knee up behind you and hold onto your foot with your left hand. Gently lift your foot up as you find balance in dancer. Release back down, forward fold, plank position. And we're going to come back down onto our knees and back into Sphinx pose. And we'll repeat that flow on the other side. So a few breaths here in Sphinx pose. Drawing your chest through, opening your heart, allowing that compassion. From Sphinx, we're going to move back into those spine undulations. Forearms on the mat, hips above your knees, and just that gentle movement of the spine, up and down, allowing your shoulder blades to draw together before stretching them apart. From there, hands to the mat. And we'll come back into our downward dog. I think you'll be lifting your left leg this time. I'm going to do the same side again, just so that I'll be turning to the front. If not, you're going to end up having the back of me facing you when I'm in goddess. So, you'll be lifting your left leg, but just lift your leg, bring it through between your hands and come into that side squat. And again, we flow here, following our hands from side to side. This time, why not open up? Take a stretch on each side. Really feel those joints popping and clicking today. That's not a bad thing. It's definitely not unusual for me. Come into the centre. Release your head to the mat. And then gently, hands on hips, straight back as we rise up and come into our goddess pose. So knees pointing the same direction as our feet, arms into cactus, and a few breaths here in goddess. Turn to the front of your mat, come into your lunge. Step your foot up to meet in forward fold. Come up into mountain, and we'll take dancer on the other side. So pressing your foot into the mat, lift your leg behind you. Try and move back a little bit. And take a dancer pose here. Again, be compassionate to yourself. If you wobble, if you fall, it doesn't matter. No man is better than any other. No yogi is better than any other. Release that. Hands to the mat. Into plank. And in to our Sphinx pose. We're going to go through that flow once more on each side. From Sphinx, come onto your knees and forearms. Some nice spinal undulations. Should be really finding your way into this now. Know what feels good for you in this moment. Press up into your downward dog. And we should be back to our right foot to lift between your hands. Come into that side lunge. Lift your left arm to open your heart over to the other side. Follow your hands across. Open out into that twist. And again. Come into centre. Release the crown of your head to the mat. Hands to hips. Gently lift up. Come into your goddess pose. And a few breaths here. Turn to the front of your mat into your lunge. Bring your feet together in mountain. Roll up. Left foot raises into our dancer pose. Back it again. Release. Fold forward. Plank. Lower your knees. And back into Sphinx. A few breaths here in Sphinx pose. Chest forward, heart open. Onto your knees. Spinal undulations. Hands to the mat, lift up to down dog. You'll be lifting your left leg up and through. Come to that side lunge with open arm twist. To the other side. This is feeling really nice now. Allow your breath to follow your movements. Make your way to centre. Head to release to the mat. Hands on hips as we roll up. And make our way to goddess pose, cactus arms. Draw your core in. And allow a few breaths here. Turn to the front of your mat into your low lunge. Bring your foot up to mountain. Roll up. And we'll take dancer pose on the other side. Release. Forward fold. Back to plank. And we'll take a spinal sphinx pose here. Elbows below our shoulders, chest and heart open. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Before we push back onto our knees and draw ourselves into a child's pose. Pose, we're going to take a bow. So, moving forward, come onto your tummy. Lift your feet up behind you. Use your hands to grip onto your feet. And then lift your chest as your feet pull or push into your palms of your hands and your palms pull your feet higher. Try to keep your knees together, so draw your thighs inwards. And release. And we'll take that bow pose again. So just take a few breaths here. Head can come to one side. And when you're ready, lift your feet, hands reach back to grasp, and use that push of your feet into your hands to lift your chest into bow. Opening that heart, flowing with compassion. Release. Let your head drop to the other side. And a few breaths here. From here, hands on the mat, lift yourself up into a tabletop. We're going to thread the needle just to twist and release our back. So right arm comes up, threads underneath, shoulder to the mat. Just a few breaths here. Draw it back through and lift. And we'll repeat on the other side. So into tabletop, neutral position. Left arm draws up. Threads underneath. Shoulder to the mat. And a few breaths here. Open. And into the mat in tabletop. From there, push back onto your heels. We'll just take a brief toe stretch, so whilst you're on your heels, tuck your toes. Inhale and exhale here. It's quite intense when you're on your toes. I can't hold it for long. And again, it's about giving those feet a little release, like we did with our massage at the beginning. From there, I'm going to take a bridge pose. So feet flat on the mat, gently make your way down onto your back. Fingers should almost be able to touch your heels or just touch your heels. Place your palms into the mat and lift your hips into a bridge. And lower. Lift up. And lower. And one more. Lift up into your bridge. And lower. Arms above your head, feet stretching out. And then bring your knees into your chest. Give them a hug. With your knees into your chest, arms out to the side, and just release your knees to the left for a little spinal twist. Head to the opposite side. And a few breaths here. Knees to the centre. Drop the knees to the right hand side. Head to the opposite. Try and have your arms in line with your shoulders. Make your way back to centre and release into Shavasana. And as you lay in Shavasana and allow yourself that compassion, that time to rest and restore, we'll finish with a final quote. Do not let what you have gained today be so easily lost. As you go about your day, keep those values, that value of compassion with you. As you move to your work, as you move to getting the children ready for school, whatever it is you've got planned for the rest of your day, take that compassion for yourself with you. You've earned it. Well done. Enjoy the rest of your day and join me again for another session of novel yoga.